media, you were very crucial in carrying the message. I'm happy that we have partnered with the provinces in this collaborative effort to strengthen employment creation and measures to mitigate unemployment in the country. This partnership will contribute to ensuring accountability of service providers and together monitoring the safeguards that this funding will be properly accounted for. On Thursday, we announced this National Unemployment Insurance Fund Labor Activation Program, which is the training for employment and entrepreneurship program. We did that announcement in Tshwane. Today, it's the launch of the Gauteng program. You can see then that Gauteng was resolved on this particular program. And I can see that it has to do with this youth exuberance. You see that energy. They're very clear. When they want it, they are going to do it. And we made that launch. And I want to indicate that on the 16th of April, the official national launch takes place in eThekwini in KZN. And then we will be progressively rolling out during the April month throughout the other provinces countrywide. This UIF-LEF program enhances the employment mandate of the department, and it includes enhancing the employability of the unemployed through training, enabling the entrepreneurship through enterprise development, preserving jobs through the CCMA and Productivity South Africa. And those who do not know, a lot of our people are losing jobs. There's a lot of retrenchment. And then we have to come in through the Section 189, which deals with retrenchments of the Labor Relations Act. We have also Productivity South Africa, which has been helping a number of companies. Those are all the resources which are coming from the UIF, even those used by Productivity South Africa and the CCMA. We are also trying to collaborate across government departments and the entities to massify jobs, skills training, and enterprise creation. I want to applaud you, Gauteng, led by the Premier, Comrade Lebohang. So don't worry, Comrade Lebohang. Others, it's like it's a swear word now when you're talking about comrades. So I'm applauding the comrades in Gauteng who are leading government for being the first with a very responsive strategy in dealing with skilling and job creation. And this collaboration to massify the already existing job creation and skills development programs, it's long overdue initiative, led by the President, which has facilitated partnerships with the private sector to stimulate employment. The UIF-LEP have been running since before 2019 and will continue after 2024 elections. The only difference now is that we are massifying the interventions as part of economic recovery post-COVID-19. Most of you know the devastation. We lost 2 million jobs during COVID. And adding to that, you know what the violence which started in KZN did in destroying workplaces. And lots of jobs were lost. So the myth that we're electioneering in the is short-sighted and historically inaccurate. Government continues its work right up to the 28th of May and then hands the baton to the next administration. You see, this thing that it's an electioneering scheme by Ramaphosa and so on, it's nonsense. if I may ask one of you, what is the right time to implement a jobs program? Is there any right time? The issue of unemployment has been a problem for a number of administrations. And then there were interventions. This scheme was started during the time of my predecessor in the last administration. If we had done it, Comrade Nomantu, because of petty dispatch, if we had done it in January, February, March, people would be accusing us of fiscal dumping. They are very quick that they spend billions which they did not spend. Now, planning of government goes with the financial year. And it's multi-year, the planning of government. So, before, during, and after the elections, the program continues. It's as simple as that. Because we are dealing massive unemployment in the country. I'm also happy that your Gauteng database now interfaces with the Employment Services of South Africa database, managed by our Public Employment Programs Directorate, to strengthen the collaboration with your province on registration of the work seekers, registration of more opportunities on the national platforms, and to avoid duplication, as you have said, comrade. Service providers, we have that database where you have to pull in people from that. That's why we created that database. Of course, only substantial economic growth and development will ultimately rescue the country from the huge unemployment challenge. But in the meantime, we also believe that the government, working with all stakeholders, has a major role to play in mitigating unemployment and creating and preserving jobs. We are here, or we are and remain deeply indebted to the private businesses for their willingness to work side by side with government in the enormous task of employment creation across the various sectors and industries. The social contract, which we have been dealing with for the past 2 years, we have decided now that we deal with the different sectors separately. We'll come back later on. One of the key issues which have been put there, led by the President, we're looking at the issue of how do we resolve the energy crisis, because a lot of companies have been affected and they've had to retrench. We're also talking about massive infrastructure development, which is all those are going to create jobs. And this program of massifying the public employment programs and skills training is part of that proposal. So it must never ever be taken out of context. So the sectors and the industries that will contribute significantly to the creation of these jobs have been mentioned by the DG. And those are ICT, construction and engineering, manufacturing, education, transport and mining, and a lot of them. By the way, one simple example. If you go into the hairdressing industry, it's full of the foreign nationals. Can't we train our young ladies, our young men to specialize in that area? And then we also give them capital to start and coach them. Why? Those are jobs. Other people coming from outside, they see gold in South Africa. Are we motivating enough our young people to be able to look into those options? This is what Nasispane is looking for. This is what this national program is trying to do. we've already said that an amount of 23 billion will be allocated to implement this plan. And these opportunities will run between 12 to 36 months. And the money invested in the plan will be recouped by the UIF through contributions and revenue generated from the investment, as has been the substantial model of funding. So once these people are employed, they are also going to pay to the UIF, which means the revenue of the UIF is going to increase. A question was asked to me when an assessment was done that you're taking these billions, investing them through the PIC, and you find an individual company getting about 2 billion, 3 billion. And then next, that company comes back after 2 years and says, I've gone under. And people are hiding the assets. What is better when we are facing this massive unemployment is to give that money to those people, the few people, or is to invest it in job creation schemes? That question was asked to us with the Deputy Minister, because we have also been through the assessment at the presidency by the President himself. Then the thinking came to us that it's better that we take some of this money. And those who are accusing us that we have not followed procedures, they have a right to interrogate the processes we've followed. We didn't just have the 15 billion dropping from the sky. We had to talk to the actuaries. The DG has said how much can be recouped, whilst we are still allowing for the UIF to continue its business. We had to go, even if that 15 billion was, we had to go through the processes of treasury for this money to be approved. So there is a saying that the proof is in the pudding. I'm Nandiji. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. But all what that it says, whatever way you put it, the real value of something can be judged only from the practical experience of the results, not from its appearance. The service providers who were here, the value, the quality of the money which you are going to be given, it's going to be on the results which you are giving. And we are going to be hard in terms of accountability to all. I have to be accountable. These are the monies of the workers. The DG and the commissioner, they have to be accountable. Ubunabe. Ukon. Balegil. The chief director who's running this program, we've been putting a lot of pressure on him. Sleepless nights. There was even a story that I called in the officials in some hotel when there was a storm, what you call collapsed. Yes, indeed, I did call the officials to come and account why this program was moving slowly. It was as if I made a scene by calling the officials. DM, you remember? We must be accountable to the electorate on how we're handling these monies. We must be accountable. But officials must be accountable in terms of putting these programs. They must execute. So the UIF has proven that it's capable of employing strategic measures, such as the COVID TERS benefits, distributing for that matter 64 billion to 5 million laid-off workers and their families during the pandemic, whilst remaining financially sound. So the spread of our implementation nationally will be across every province with these 333 recommended projects to provide training and so on. And the DG has clarified the 700,000 and the 2 million. We're talking about the multi-year programs. As part of our commitment to strengthening the internal controls, the UIF has subjected these projects to meticulous quality assurance processes to ensure they are compliant with the policy and legislation. There are necessary controls in place. And the Commissioner has explained our mandate, why we're using this money. Some of the people, but the money of the workers is being abused. They do not know what they are talking about. So there are necessary controls in place. Welcome back, Comrade Mzi and Comrade Matara. There is capacity and necessary resources in place, and that these programs produce real outcomes in terms of the jobs and entrepreneurial prospects. By the way, when I'm welcoming back these comrades, we've just spoken with Comrade Lebogang. Many people thought that is the big jobs today. That was postponed. But we've agreed that we're going to address, he's going to address those people and tell them how this is going to be done. We're not going to shy away from them. Before you say there was chaos, people turned in their thousand and this thing. The employability interventions are delivered through contracts with a condition that they guarantee jobs for beneficiaries with the minimum period of employment of 1 year post-intervention. Initially, people were just trained for 3 months, 6 months, and then it ends there. But we added an element where we said there must be attachment, placements into the jobs. That's the difference now. We did it in this administration. So the lab provides a sliding scale of funding support for these programs. 70% of the participants will be contributors, and a maximum of 30 will be non-contributors. So those who cannot, it's 100% lab funding. We have supported the Gauteng Provincial Government Nasispani project and will do more in partnership on the A-Crash Nolova to ensure that we maximize the impact. Collaboration with the provinces will assist in matching of the projects, recruitment, funding, build partnerships, and will reduce this duplication, which Comrade Maile talked about. Projects will be broken down into districts and ensure an even spread across Gauteng. We're going to do that in all the provinces in the first instance. A key benefit to us with this approach is the shared responsibility of managing and monitoring projects. Opportunities will be created. Now, we've mentioned a few sectors in Gauteng, but nationally, we've talked on agriculture, on services. We've already mentioned IT, construction, engineering, the services, textile, transport, furniture, manufacturing, education, energy, food and beverage, health and wellness, aviation, insurance, jewelry, hygiene, arts and culture, and the financial sector. Comrade Nomanto, kutheni ukudla ezikolweni kuthendariswa kungatrainwa the young people so that they are able to service. Abanye, they must plow vegetables and sell into the schools. Kutheni siresista lento? Comrade Mzi, why are we resisting this? Okay, you'll answer me one day. You know, one of the areas, and Comrade Maile, you must help me there with the Premier. You see this new growing industry now of food deliveries, scooters. What is bad as a Minister of Labor now? There's a lot of exploitation there. People are told that you can just bring your scooter and so on, and then you make the deliveries. If you get an accident or whatever happens, it's your own problem. We have not employed you, we have just contracted you. And part of the problem, it's a lot of the foreign nationals who have not been trained. If you look at the accidents which we get, the way they are driving, it's horrible. How many of our people in the townships can be able to do that? We train them and so on. Part of the problem is some of the employers prefer the foreign nationals, not because they love them, but because they want to exploit them. They want to undermine the labor legislation. They can give them peanuts. We must deal with that issue. A number of factors. That's why we're coming up with the labor migration policy. So we are here to demonstrate without fear our serious commitment to creating employment opportunities for our people and to embed these processes and programs into the future. I want to teach you on the Telang Balendi and Funuitet. I want to address this one to the service providers. We've been asked the question, what safeguards are there that this money will be properly accounted for? That it is not being siphoned off to corruption, that we are getting the value of the money. That question has been asked. And as a starting point, we want to say we instituted a control environment review process across the UIF and the labor activation program, which has assisted us in identifying the gaps and recommended compensation controls enabling a smooth transition towards the implementation. We've talked about this. 2 years ago, we started a diagnostic of the two funds, the UIF and the compensation fund. We used PwC. They did it for 18 months. They came with a thick report. And now we're in the process, we're appointing people who are going to implement. There's a lot of structural change, reorganization and so on, and recruiting the right skills. Remember, this is an insurance. And this is a health insurance. This is like a medical whatever insurance for a number of people. So you need the right skills to run that. You can't just take ordinary administrators. So we need those actuaries, those chartered accountants, those strategic people. We all need them who are running the banks and the insurance companies and even the medical aid. So that's what we're busy with now. But that UDG will announce later on, and the commissioner. But we've started recruiting and put a special project management office under the guidance of the DG, with the right people. The second leg, as I'm trying to answer this question of e-abuse, is the emphasis on the combined assurance model, which includes the management assurance to ensure that the projects are implemented in line with the agreements and service level agreements. Monitoring and evaluation, we will visit projects regularly as part of their work plan to measure implementation, impact, and delivery. Risk management, we will do them quarterly. There will be quarterly visits to the projects to test if there are any emerging risks. Internal audit will include now the labor activation projects audit in their implementation plan with an intention of visiting the projects also quarterly. LAB has an oversight structure which reports to the board, which will also visit the projects quarterly. and the project will form part of the acting DG's strategic projects for monthly reporting. The Auditor General of South Africa will be invited to provide assurance as previously done with COVID. With COVID, we called the AG and they cut us into pieces on the controls. Even here, we're going to do that. And the third leg is the appointment of the independent project management office, which will see to it that service providers are held accountable. There's monitoring of the projects. Contract management is in place to drive timeless delivery of the projects. And there is also going to be an impact assessment of the projects. Omunye phela ngasitshela ukuthi comrade, awasizranile nabo abantwana siba training, sibuza ukuthi baqhashwe kuphi. Because that's the impact we want. The fourth leg is the introduction of the SAP employability solution, which has been developed, tested, and deployed. This will ensure that the projects are not managed, tracked, and monitored manually, but the process is automated. Finally, is the introduction of the strategic project management office in the office of the acting director general, which is led by seasoned financial people and administrators who have experience in project management. That's very important. One of the questions I must answer, so that in media must not answer me, must not ask me, is how does this rollout relate to the 5 billion Tuja agreement? They were even saying, are you taking the money from the 5 billion? Stephen Protest asked me that question yesterday morning. I said there's no link. There is no link to the 5 billion on Tuja. The Tuja matter is being considered by the courts, and until such time that there's a decision from the court, no money will be set aside for the Tuja project. And to clarify further, no funds have ever been paid to Tuja. I'm trying to also be smart and use the legal jargon. It's sub judice. And let me close again by emphasizing what Comrade Lebohang Maile raised. That this question of, is this the political gimmick? We've had 5 years to do this, and yet we get this program on the eve of the elections. And what is going to happen after the 29th of May if the ANC does not get the 50%? I said, that's nonsense. As the department, we have always been driving this mission of placing people in employment. In 2019, when I joined the department, one of the first interventions I made was to introduce this training program and say, but it must be reorganized from the previous one. And that process has taken time because we wanted to ensure the process is above board. And the same year I became minister, the target for LEP was 450,000 opportunities. And this project was disturbed by the advent of the COVID-19. Everybody knows that during the COVID-19, everything came to a standstill. How would we run that project during that time? We couldn't. So that COVID-19 shifted focus to preserving jobs in which we spend this 65 billion I talked about to keep the 5 million South Africans employed. So, service providers, we are going to be on you now. There are many of these service providers. We're still going to give them because this issue is very serious. Comrade Deputy Minister and Comrade Mali, thank you very much. Comrade MCs, that's all I came to say.
Thank you very much, Minister. And I think maybe there is some water that was there in Tembisa to have produced this leadership. Hoi hoi Gauteng. Hoi hoi Gauteng. Igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe. Sicela ke ngoku uDeputy Minister wethu esimthembileyo azokusenzela i-vote of thanks.
Uzoyithola kanjani? Uzoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni. Ola oyoy Gauteng oyoy. Program directors, Mama Onke Mjo, the Acting Director General of the Department of Employment and Labor. Allow me to also take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to acknowledge the core program director of this very important launch, Ntate Edward Musue, who's the Director General of Gauteng Provincial Government. I'm taking this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, as I move on with my protocol list, to acknowledge Umphathiswa wethu, the Minister of Employment and Labor. Those who did not know, Utata Umphathiswa Utulas Walter Maid, another name, Walter Maid, not watermelon, Walter Maid. Nwesi, Utole, udlangamandla lo utata udlangamandla lo wena ongafanela ukufa uzofela uzawubujelwa ndim wena. I want to take this opportunity to really thank and acknowledge our premier of Nasi Spani province, the premier of Gauteng, Tate Hendrik. Andrek, with the H, with the K. What is important is the K. Andrek. One of the way you pronounce it, Andrek. You see that name, ne? Andrek, utatu panyaza lisufi. MEC Leboga Maile, our champion for Nasi Spani project. Le project le yako. Isaac. Oh, Isaac, man. Lo Isaac of ISS Isaka, ya ungu Isaka. Utatu Isaac Maile. We thank you for your presence. I want to take also this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of all our MECs from Nasi Spani province of Gauteng, Nyabonwa, Kaloku, Mandicho. We see you. And I've heard Umphathiswa wam ethetha ngo-DDG from Education Department. You are acknowledged, Tata, ukuba khona apa. The Commissioner of the UIF, Ntate Muruti wa rona, Ntate Muruti phela, Ntate Muruti Tebogo Maruping. Our service providers who are here that you have all seen before you, including our beneficiaries, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of both Gauteng Provincial Government and the Department of Employment and Labor, it is my honor and privilege to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have joined us this morning for this media launch of our joint collaboration through the Labor Activation Program of the Unemployment Insurance Fund. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express our sincere thanks to the Minister of Employment and Labour for steering this ship towards its conclusion and its final implementation and conclusion. The Premier of Nazi-Spani Province, Tatul Sofi, I want to also, thank you for leading the pack with your proactiveness, your steadfastness, your passion to tackle unemployment in Gauteng, especially head on. And I think you are leading by example, and others must actually take the cue from you. To our distinguished guests, our partners of Nazi-Spani Province of Gauteng, all of you premiers, MECs who are here, all of you, the learners, our service providers present today, our esteemed members of the media who have gathered here to witness this significant occasion, yourselves, members of the media. Your presence here today demonstrates your unwavering support for our efforts in addressing the critical issue of unemployment in our society. We extend, ladies and gentlemen, our deepest appreciation to the Gauteng Provincial Government and the Department of Employment and Labour for their tireless dedication and commitment in pioneering this joint collaboration. It is through this the collective efforts of the Department of Employment and Labour, ladies and gentlemen, and Gauteng Provincial Government that we are able to foster innovative solutions and empower our communities in overcoming the challenges of unemployment. We would also like to express our profound gratitude to the Acting Director General of the Department of Employment and Labour, Mayor Onkemjo, and the UIF Commissioner Ntate Moruti Tebogo Maruping, the Director General of Gauteng Province, Mhlekazi Edward Musue, all individual and stakeholders who have contributed to the success of this labor activation program. Your invaluable insights, expertise and unwavering support have played a crucial role in shaping this initiative and making it possible. To our beneficiaries who are here and those who are not here, those who have put their faith in this program, ladies and gentlemen, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your trust and willingness to embrace change. Your courage and determination in seizing the new opportunities will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact in our society. And we remain committed to providing the necessary support to assist you in your journey towards meaningful and sustainable employment. Lastly, but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to acknowledge the media for their inherent role in disseminating information and raising awareness about this collaboration. Your unwavering commitment to informing the public plays a pivotal role in shaping the narrative and highlighting the importance of tackling unemployment head-on. We thank you, and you should give yourself a round of applause, media people. Members of the media must give themselves a round of applause for doing the job that they are doing. You know, it's like thanking the fish for swimming. So now, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to express our sincere appreciation to each and every one of you who played a part, or big or small, in making this media launch a resounding success it is today. Together, we are embarking on a journey towards a brighter future where employment opportunities are accessible to all and our communities thrive. Indeed, today is better than yesterday, and surely tomorrow will be better than today. And it is at this point, ladies and gentlemen, where I drop the mic. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour, Mebwi Tumelo Moloi, a round of applause to her as well for all of that. I think there may be doubting Thomases in here or out there. That is this thing real? And are there beneficiaries? And I thought just before we leave, that can we ask some of our beneficiaries who have been invited, who are taking advantage of this opportunity to rise, so that we can also acknowledge them. We have beneficiaries in this place. Beneficiaries, look at them, look at them, look at them. These are the people that are, now we are touching Nasi Spani labor activation. These are our beneficiaries. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do a little better by acknowledging these are our young people. These are the ones for today, these are the ones for tomorrow, these are the ones for the future. Congratulations for taking up the opportunity. We encourage every other who is not on ESSA to go on ESSA and apply, because an opportunity is coming your way. But not only that, we are encouraging, let us go and become ambassadors and remind those that on the 12th of April, we will be with the ESSA, with Employment and Labor, a big careers fair in Kempton Park, starting in Kempton Park, but ending up in Tembisa with the Minister of Employment and Labor. We remind you that on the 13th and the 14th of April this year, all people of Gauteng, young people of Gauteng who are not on ESSA, we invite you to go and register yourself. Go to the nearest public school in your community. You don't have to catch a taxi. Just go to the nearest public school. Details will be provided. Go get yourself on the ESSA system. Once you are on the ESSA system, you will be getting your name matched with the many opportunities that are being given, as the minister has indicated. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a good crowd. Why don't you give yourself a round of applause for that? And finally, service providers, there's no free meal. You got to sign the pledge. You recited it, and we want you to sign the pledge as by the commissioner. Trevor and Vuyo, are you going to guide in terms of the minister? I know the minister has to do interviews. I'm requesting Vuyo and Trevor to guide. Where are they? So you will guide where the minister would okay. And then, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our program. The minister, after doing the interview, the minister will be ushered to where you'll be ushered. You will be ushered to where you will be ushered. Yeah. And everybody else, breakfast is served. I want to thank my colleague, acting DG. I don't like this acting thing, but I like to